In your visual style, there's a clear attention to detail. How do you decide the aesthetic and atmosphere of each film?
Well, I mean, I think try very hard not to overwhelm it with a visual style. And I guess what I mean by that is sometimes it's okay to not be gourmet in your photography. You're there to tell a story. You don't want it to look ugly. It's a movie. It has to be exciting. You want all of those things. You're looking for visual energy but to not be scared of making something ugly. Walk into a room, walk into a location and say, where's the light coming from? You know, what is realistic? What is honest? And then once you have the basis of what's honest, you can decide how much it needs to be magnified up because it's a movie or whether you need it to stay right where it is. You know, we always sort of seem to be checking ourselves as a system of checks and balances among the crew of, yeah, when do we have to do something for dramatic purpose, or when is it okay to just kind of make it mundane and stay out of the way, you know? Sometimes if the movie overwhelms you with a visual style, it might mean that it's supporting something that needs to be there, that the strongest thing being the story, the script, the people, you know?
Yeah, it's trying to find a balance.
It is. It's always trying to find a balance, always asking yourself those questions.
And speaking of that, there's a question from Christopher Alexis Antunes Castellanos, also from UVB in Coyoacán. In your creative process, how do you balance giving actors the freedom to explore their characters with the very specific vision that you have as a director?
Okay, well, I'll tell you how you do that. At least our approach to it is we try to do a tremendous amount of preparation with location scouts, using the phone, finding locations. The more you can find locations where you can be there for a few days and you can, you know, it's important to walk in with a plan, obviously. But it's equally as important to be flexible in that plan, you know, because I don't think if you're an actor in a scene and you show up to work one day, I tell you where to stand and I tell you to go over here and I tell you to go over there, that you're going to feel very you know, you're not going to feel part of the process.
Right.
It's always important to walk in having a plan that you're prepared to throw out the window if the actors find something in the space. So in our very prolonged location scouts, we have a basic idea of how something might go. And usually I can guess pretty good. And sometimes there are scenes that if it's a small scene that just needs to get you from here to there, you do need something that you want to you tell everybody. And that's okay. But you have to walk in open to everything and be ready to see something new. So when we location scout, we do have a plan, but we also know, you know, in other words, you might be ready to shoot here, but you also have to be ready to turn around and shoot this way.
Right.
And so that, in a practical sense, means something like, well, where are you going to park the trucks? Where are you going to put the lights? Where are you going to put everything? Are you taking any lights? How can we be small so we can be flexible? So it's all in the preparation. You know, it's very hard to be flexible if you have 100 people standing around and trucks that are parked everywhere. The more you can kind of narrow things down and have flexibility, the more agile you can be. For as big as this movie was, and for as long as we shot, it was still the same 15 or 20 of us around the camera that it always is. There's still the same exact amount of people that we had on Licorice Pizza or Phantom Thread. That doesn't change.
In spite of the scale of the movie.
In spite of the scale. That's not to say there aren't days where you have cars falling off cliffs and this stuff. You take on more people. You have to have that for safety and that kind of stuff. But the majority of the film is the same size crew that made smaller films, bigger films. That doesn't have to change.
Yeah, like finding this middle ground between making things happen and letting things happen. Right?
Absolutely. Like, yeah. That's absolutely right.
Collaboration has always been central to your work. What does it mean to you to keep building films with the same creative team? Johnny Greenwood, the late Adam Sumner, Florencia Martin, and how do those relationships shape the final film?
Well, that's all you have, isn't it? I mean, that's what you have.
Right.
I mean, I'm just old enough now to not want to go to work to do it if I'm not with people that I love and I want to be with. You know, it's no longer about the finished product as much as it is about being with people that you love to collaborate with. And so it's everything. Their feedback to you, our knowledge of each other as collaborators and friends, and a system of checks and balances you know, you look over to somebody that you trust and they're kind of shaking your head and you go, oh shit, okay, maybe I'm off course. And the joy of collaboration is, it's the only reason to go and do something. So I hope that answers your question, because within the details of it, you hope to form a collaboration that has no beginning, no middle, and no end. It's always in process, you know. And the same thing with the actors as well, you know. I think about the actors coming into the editing room, which I think is essential at a certain point. You know, some people don't like that. I flourish off of it because you've created an idea and they were part of something when you were there at the beginning, and then they get to go off and relax and have a break. And I go into the editing room. You need somebody to come back and say, oh, I see what you've done here and it's great, but don't forget this idea that we talked about. It's so helpful to keep your collaborators close and keep encouraging it. You know, it's the essence of the entire thing.
Right, to have them involved in as much of the process as you can.
Absolutely. You can't make a film alone. I mean, and what would be the point?
Right.
That would be sucking all of the fun out of it.